I'm Brett, and welcome to Random Book Talk. I'm very excited to be talking today to Kathy Reichs, international best-selling author of 16 Tempe Brennan novels. It all started with Dead, which hit the bestseller lists right around the world. Hi Kathy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You've come a long way since Dead, though you made an incredible debut on the international publishing stage. Your first book went to #1, I think, in more than 5 or 6 countries around the world. Pretty exciting, I can imagine.
Totally shocking is what it was.
And so 16 books on, we have Bones of the Lost, which is once again sort of hitting #1 on bestseller lists right around the country. How have you managed to sustain such a long and incredible career?
Well, I think it's the character. I think people have globally been attracted to Temperance Brennan. There's something about her. When I created the character, I wanted her to be approachable and to be real and to have flaws and to be human, but to be smart and to be tough. And I think she's appealed to people in multiple cultures.
Yeah, there really does seem to be a very strong connection. In the weeks leading up to your visit to Australia, we've been sharing news on our Facebook page, and the response has been overwhelming. And in all of the posts, they talk about Tempe. I guess over 16 years, you've spent a lot of time thinking about Temperance and writing about her. How has your relationship with Tempe changed over that time?
Well, I'm still in charge.
Yeah.
I started out in charge. I don't really believe in that the character can take over, because you're the author, you're at the keyboard, and you can hit the delete key. But I think the character in any continuing series has to evolve, or at least we have to learn more and more about her.
Yes.
One of the problems in writing a continuing character series is aging. How do we age? You know, and if I were aging Tempe in real time, she'd now be like 73 or something, right. And the cat would be 112.
Yeah.
So she has to stay fresh, and she has to stay new, and she has to maybe have some problems as she goes along the way. And so I think that's what keeps the novels fresh, along with the cases she solves and the science that she always goes back to.
She's in a lot of danger in nearly every single book.
Right.
Have you ever toyed with the idea of killing her off?
Oh my goodness, I don't think my readers would ever speak to me again if I killed her off, or Andrew Ryan. There have been a couple of books in which the cat, Birdie, was in danger, and I got some very irate emails from people. How dare you threaten the cat? So
there's a lot of fans out there with a very strong relationship. Yeah. Also, I was interested in asking you, I mean, Tempe has to deal with a lot of crimes and a lot of things that could possibly haunt her. Do you, when you're writing about these experiences, these subjects, does any of it haunt you?
You can't allow yourself to be haunted by the cases. I usually base a book on something I've done, maybe an actual case that I've worked on. Dead grew directly out of a serial murder case that I worked on. But you have to have the psychological makeup to go into my line of work, such that you can't allow it to haunt you, or you would burn out. You wouldn't be able to continue to do your job and be of any use to these victims or their families.
Now, I believe I read an article that came out just the last week that Bones of the Lost is indeed based on a case that you worked on years ago. Are you able to share a little bit about that? Yeah,
it's based on a number of different things because I always have more than one storyline going. But it's based on the fact that I went to Afghanistan as part of a USO tour to thank our troops for their service over there. So our heroine ends up going to Afghanistan. It's also the case she investigates in Afghanistan. A soldier, a Marine, has been accused of murdering civilians. His story is that they were coming at him, so he shot them in self-defense. Others are claiming they were running away and he shot them in the back. So she's asked to go and do an exhumation of these victims and determine basically bullet trajectory. Did it go in the front and exit the back, or did it go in the back and exit the front? And that's based on an actual case I had several years ago of a policeman who was found shot, and the coroner ruled it suicide. He'd shot himself in the chest. The family disagreed. They agitated. Eventually a committee was formed. We did the exhumation and we analyzed, and that was the exact issue. Front to back or back to front.
Right, yeah. I guess you get to work on, I mean, your real life as a forensic anthropologist. You get to work on so many cases and you're able to bring that into your writing. There is a real sense when you read all of your books of this genuine authenticity that sets you apart, I think, in many ways from other writers.
I hope that's true, not only in the actual cases that I've worked on. My specialty is bones, the human skeleton, but I don't want every story to be driven by bone issues. I bring in a different kind, because they're good old-fashioned murder mysteries, but they're science-driven solutions. So I bring in different kinds of science in each book, and I'm lucky because I work in a full spectrum crime and medical legal lab.
Right.
So if I want to use entomology, bugs or maggots, or if I want to use blood spatter pattern, or I want to use carbon-14, I can go to one of my colleagues and they will walk me through. So hopefully the science is always, and then I have them read those little bits to be sure I've got the science accurate.
Yeah, I can imagine too, that's an amazing ability that you have to sort of bring, I guess, real life science into your books. Has it changed much, that science, over the last decade or two?
The biggest change, I'd say, over the last 2 decades is DNA.
Yeah.
Because when I started working, DNA in a forensic context didn't exist. Whereas now, one of the things that television has done is it's perpetrated the myth that DNA can solve everything.
Right.
And that's not true. You can't use DNA in a vacuum, for example. You can get DNA from an unknown skeleton, but if you don't have a name, you don't know whose family to go to for a comparative sample.
It's not the panacea.
Yeah, same thing with dental records. You can you can do the dental records on an unknown corpse, but if you don't know whose dentist to go to get comparative records, it does you no good.
It doesn't take you anywhere.
Yeah, but certainly one of the big developments over the last couple of decades is DNA, and it is a very powerful tool. And now with every case I work, before I do anything to it, any cleaning or anything, I take a DNA sample.
Kathy, that lets me sort of, I guess, segue into talking to you about the TV. Bones, which I'm a huge fan of, has been screening at primetime TV around the world for a number of years. I'm not sure how many seasons it's run for to date, but I believe you're a producer of the series.
Right. In the U.S., we're about to start season 9.
Wow.
We're in 75, I think, foreign territories, so we're all over the world.
Yeah.
I work as we have a lot of producers. I don't know if you see the crawlers. We have a lot of producers. What I do mainly is I read each script to make sure the science is accurate. And that was more important in the early seasons, whereas now, 9 years down the road, Emily and David and our writers and TJ and everyone really has a pretty sophisticated grasp of forensic anthropology. They know the terminology. They know how it works. So I don't have to do quite as much double checking as I did in the early years.
I imagine they've probably been reading in their spare time as well to sort of bone up, if you will.
Yes, I think so.
All of the science. How do you manage to keep the storyline separate from the TV and the books, because they are quite distinct?
Yeah, I think of TV Tempe and book Tempe. TV Tempe's younger. She's in Washington, D.C. She's certainly a little socially awkward. Her people skills aren't real good.
Right.
Whereas book Tempe is later. So I think of TV Tempe as a prequel. It's an earlier point in Tempe's life.
Yeah.
So when I go to write a Temperance Brennan book, I'm not impacted by that. That was like Tempe the early years, and I'm writing about a more mature, a more polished Temperance Brennan. Yeah,
she's really one of the most enduring characters in books. I hope you continue to write her for many more years to come. Writing the Tempe Brennan novels and the success that they've been received throughout the world has taken you, I guess, to many countries to research. I think you went to Kyrgyzstan and Afghanistan for your latest novel, but you've travelled, I guess, to meet readers in many countries. Is there a favourite destination that you love returning to?
Oh, I think it would have to be Australia. I love coming to Australia. It's so diverse.
Yeah, well, we love having you here. So I believe you arrived just yesterday. So,
I did.
And you're here for how many days?
I am here until Tuesday, I think, and I can't tell you what that date is because I just got off the plane yesterday.
Right. Well, you look fantastic. Are you heading over to New Zealand?
Melbourne, and then Brisbane, and then over to New Zealand.
And over to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming to Australia. It's been lovely to talk to you. Bones of the Lost is in bookstores right around the country. You can also find it, if you're an e-reader, online and download it to your favourite reading device. It's high up on the bestseller lists, so you will not miss it. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about the book or even read a sample chapter, head to our website at randomhouse.com.au for more information. And while you're there, why not sign up to our e-newsletter so you can learn more about books coming in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you very much, Kathy,
Thank you.
for joining us, and have a lovely week.
Thank you.
See you next time.